So what facilitated the move to MMA? I mean, based on your accomplishment in boxing, why want to take on something totally new?
I've always been a fan of martial arts. It's something I've been doing since I was a child. I got introduced to boxing because of martial arts through Angela Reyes, my martial arts teacher. And for me, I kind of felt like it was the right timing when I got to talk with Victor Cui, the CEO of ONE FC, and when he offered me an exclusive MMA deal where I can also pursue my boxing career. I thought it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up on. So I thought the time is now, and I feel like I really want to make a statement as a fighter.
How exhilarating was that first fight over there in the Philippines? What was going through your head?
It was unbelievable. I mean, for any of you who watched my fight, I didn't realize how often I was smiling. I was really having that much fun in the cage. I mean, you got to think of it this way. I never had an amateur MMA fight or any of that nature and so forth. So all I did was in the dojo or in the mat or in the boxing ring and stuff. And when I got into that guillotine chokehold, some fighters, if they've never been in that situation, they would think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Versus, you know, I was thinking, oh, this girl's trying to test me. You know, so it kind of gave that competitive edge right at that moment. And, you know, when I broke free and I got to slam her, and actually I felt like I was able to express myself, which was really awesome. It was phenomenal. I felt like, you know, I couldn't have had that fight any other way.
How have you found the transition between the two sports, boxing and learning, for instance, the grappling and the jiu-jitsu?
That's a great question. You know, in fact, when I first started my professional boxing career, I was also cross-training with martial arts. I was trying to pursue my black belts, you know, for Kempo Karate. I thought that was hard. In martial arts, you're accustomed to kicks, knees, grappling, and so forth. And for boxing, you have to learn different styles with only your left and right hands. So I was always confused with the dichotomy of the two different styles. And for me to accomplish my black belt in Kempo Karate and also accomplish winning a couple world titles in boxing, and after spending more time in it through the ups and downs, I felt like the transition now, I felt like I was able to have that experience that I needed to be in the position that I'm in right now. So with that said, I feel like the transition is a lot more easier. I see the technique very similar with the martial arts and boxing and jiu-jitsu and grappling. The timing points are the same even though there's different styles. But if you understand your basics, your kihon, then for some reason they all seem to just make sense.
Anna, why would you utilize a southpaw stance in MMA where you wouldn't in boxing?
Oh, out of all people in the ring, you and Mr. Al Bernstein, you guys would actually know the answers to that question. In boxing, it's very difficult to fight someone who's a southpaw if you're not accustomed to. There's certain techniques or certain key understandings that you need to know as a conventional fighter if you're fighting a southpaw and vice versa. And I feel like I can utilize that in MMA, in the cage. That there's these little things, there's little intricacies that I feel like can be advantageous in that flash second, all because I knew the step better than my opponent, you know what I mean? So for me, I think it's a brand new idea. It's something that I can bring into the sport, something that I can try out and test out, and where I can also represent the sport of boxing in the cage.
Anna, Red Butler Machado, you accomplished so much in boxing. What is the motivation to going now into MMA? You don't normally see boxers of your caliber transitioning at this point in their career in boxing. Tell me about motivation.
I've always been a fan of the fight sports. I feel like I was able to experience that through boxing. They had an outlet for me that I really appreciated. And to have the stage that MMA is able to bring, the one that ONE FC is able to bring, I feel like it brings out that inner childhood that I've had buried so deep back in the day. And to have that come out at this point in my life, it's a thrilling experience. So for those of you who've been able to live a certain part of your life and to kind of reach back out into your childhood and have that kind of re-energize yourself, that's what I'm feeling right now.
Let's talk about Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I know now he's involved with ONE FC, with clearly Filipino. What's going on? This is huge news.
Yeah, it's huge news to me. A couple of days ago, I had to reminisce. I remember he went to my karate school for one of the media day workouts he did with Top Rank over in Berkeley. And it was crazy because you have all these kanji characters in the background and stuff like that, and we had the boxing ring in a dojo setting, and you had Manny Pacquiao there with Freddie Roach, and they're doing their thing. And you know, I'm sitting in the ring, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, this is like, I'm lucky, right? A few years down the line, here I am. I'm like, okay, I'm working for Manny Pacquiao in a martial arts sport. So it's, I don't know, like I'm kind of digesting everything right now, but so far it's been pretty exciting.
Anna, can you compare the stoppage in boxing versus the stoppage in MMA, you know, like the different high that you got from both. You know, in MMA you could use the elbows too. Must have been nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Now don't get me wrong. Like in boxing, it's intense. There's a lot of things that a lot of people who aren't really really involved in the sport actually know the techniques behind it. There's sometimes there's elbows involved. You know, there's eye poking and stuff like that, headbutts and so forth. But you know, just to have it in MMA and have it legal, I mean, it's a phenomenal experience. And the stoppages, I think, you kind of get the best of both worlds. Where in MMA, if someone gets knocked down really hard from a punch, it's common to see the referee stop right away because you want safety. Versus in boxing, if someone gets knocked down, Arturo Gatti is a perfect example. He get dropped from a body shot, and his eyes are like half shut and stuff, and he would come back and he would knock the other guy out. So you got to imagine this guy, he's undergoing a lot of pain. He had to really dig deep with his heart, and he had to fight through it. So, you know, with MMA, I think you just have to be a little bit more keener in terms of like what the situation is, and you have to kind of understand how everyone's looking at you, the referee, the judges, and so forth, how your opponent's looking and stuff like that, in order for you to just stop your opponent.
And is the recovery time after a fight more for MMA than it is for boxing?
I think for me, it's a little bit too early for me to say, because in boxing I had almost 20 professional fights versus now I only have one. I remember in boxing, I mean, if you're not in shape, it would take a long time to recover. I think the best classic example is Rios versus Alvarado 2, where they went through war. In MMA, since after my first fight, I mean, there's a lot more things involved, and I had to kind of digest and kind of understand how my body was feeling through that, and I think it's because of the new intensity. So maybe in a couple of fights in MMA, I'll be able to have more of a thorough analysis. But overall, they're both hard.
It seems like a lot of, or maybe some boxing purists have been slow to like embrace MMA, and you know, they can criticize the technique and that sort of thing. What do you think they're missing that you've been able to latch on to, that you enjoy both sports?
I think one of the biggest elements is having the martial arts background. I feel like boxers, they're phenomenal at footwork, their punching technique, their head movement, their distancing, being able to pace along fight, and they're able to apply all that through MMA. But I think just the unknown of not understanding how the kicks and knees and elbows and grappling works and so forth, and not having that martial arts background that can kind of teach the basic idea of it, I think that's where the connection isn't quite making it. Versus, like, I mean, Algieri, he just won a world title. He has a kickboxing background, so it'll be interesting to see if he would actually try to join two sports. And yeah.
With the rising popularity of MMA, can they provide you more exposure? Is that kind of anything that went into your decision to business that to it?
Absolutely. I think for all fighters, the main goal is to fight and to fight on the biggest stage. And I feel like ONE FC is able to do that. I have 1 billion viewership all over Asia with a 90% market share. So if I were to get like even a quarter for every TV set in Asia that's actually tuned in watching onto the fight, I'd make a lot of money. So as a fighter, yeah, you have to have that in the back of your head if you want to make this into your career. This is something that I do full time, and I'm proud to say that. And I'm proud to say that I've had longevity as a female fighter in a male-dominated sport. So yeah, in the back of my mind, I have to have that involved, but it's not going to be my main goal. My main goal is whatever date I have, and whoever signs that contract, I have to put down that person because they want to come and hurt me. So.
Are you getting comfortable on the ground?
It's fun. I gotta say it's fun. I had a tremendous team. These are all athletic guys that are just pushing me to the limits, and they're telling me certain things that I want to be aware of, and they're able to say it to me in a language I can understand. They would use a lot of boxing analogy, because a lot of them have a boxing background on top of their 8-10 years in jiu-jitsu and wrestling and so forth. So I feel like now, I feel like everything's been really cohesive.
Hey guys, just real quick, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to very quickly introduce Michelle Corrales and in the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. They were going to do a little presentation here. So.
Okay. I'm Rich Murata, president of the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. Michelle Corrales Lewis, executive vice president. on Saturday night, in addition to our inductions of all of the new inductees into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, we will also be honoring several Nevada-based boxing figures, and among those that we're going to honor Saturday night, present with a lovely plaque, etc., and recognize her, will be Anna Julaton. We appreciate everything she's done.
How did you get nicknamed the Hurricane? The original story is in the amateur circuit in boxing, they would always massacre my name. My name starts with a J, and it's supposed to be pronounced as an H, so they'll say like Julaton, Juliana, Julation, and we figure Hurricane, Julaton will kind of, the Hurricane will have them remind them that the J is pronounced as an H, so yeah, it's just to get my name right.
How are you gonna time manage yourself, I guess, as far as doing two sports then? You know, is it gonna be conflicts between training for one, maybe going to a fight, you're going to Dubai, different areas? How difficult, or how are you gonna manage that?
I think the easiest way for me to manage that is to still make boxing my #1 skill set.
Okay.
I mean, everyone knows I'm going to be a striker, and I think it would be a disadvantage if I don't have my striking, my punching ability stay sharp. So whether it's a MMA or a boxing fight, I got to make sure that my hands are, you know, flowing and everything's sharp. So yeah.
How about actually managing the fights? Or is your team on board as far as making sure that you don't have any conflicts and making sure you have the right amount of time between one and the other, or how is that going to work out?
Well, a lot of my friends are fighters anyhow, so I feel like it's really easy for me to manage that. And as soon as this fight's over, I don't see myself actually stopping from, you know, increasing my skill in the ground. It's something that I really appreciate. I think jiu-jitsu is a beautiful art. I'd like to one day actually get my black belt and something like that. So, you know, what's cool about about martial arts and MMA is that it's something that I like doing anyhow.
Okay.
So, in the ring, out the cage, whatever, I'm still going to be involved in some way.
You know, a lot of the other top promotions in MMA don't allow people to compete outside of their ranks. Do you think more top boxers might be willing to give a shot at MMA if they were allowed to still continue their boxing career?
I think it's a radical idea right now, and I think as soon as they start seeing, like, you know more about me fighting both sports and stuff like that, I think there may be a change, and you might start seeing more of a Bo Jackson-esque, you know, fighters out there, which would be pretty cool. And I think it's a great way to also keep yourself out there, you know.
And I know you have endorsement opportunities as well. What about when it comes to wrestling and jiu-jitsu? Do you protect your ears, or do you welcome a little bit of a...
I think I got a long ways to go to get cauliflower. Yeah.
Everything's holding up good, though.
Yeah. So I mean, so far, I mean, I feel like I'm able to manage it. Maybe next year I might need some. So I won't think of it until I deal with it.
Your opponent and her skill set and how you match up with her stylistically?
I think all my opponents are gunning for me. I knew that as soon as I signed with ONE FC, it's not going to be a walk in the park. I'm not going to be used as a marketing tool or anything like that. I knew that once I joined ONE FC, they're using authentic rules. So those are the old school predators where you get soccer kicks and 12 to 6 elbows and stuff like that. So I feel like in the fight sports, anyone has a fighting chance. So with me bringing my name there, being able to bring the sport of boxing into the limelight, I feel like everyone wants to take what I have. So I gotta stay humble, and I gotta have to continue my keep having that competitive spirit, just keep coming out and challenging, you know. So whether it was the last fight, this fight, or even the next fight coming up, all of them are gonna try the best.